Welcome, this is Suspicious here, TLDR. If you didn't listen to our Microscope game last Tuesday, Wednesday, days away, we've posted, it's live now, but maybe you don't want to sit down for an hour, hour and a half and listen to the first bit of our world building exercise. So I figured I'd come through and we'd make a quick TLDR of the story thus far. After running through the how to play Microscope very broadly, very quickly, we got in and we defined our history seed. The history seed, as it shows on the screen right now, the United States launches an aircraft carrier at the dawn of the apocalypse. Eventually, the aircraft carrier is rendered useless, and our entire world exists inside these two bookends. Things that we wanted to see more of. Operational technology. Technology is working from the past. It wasn't just rendered useless. It isn't an apocalypse such that, things no longer function. We still have radar, we still have engines. Things are working at the time. We want to see more pirates. What's a good sea role-playing game without a little bit of pirates? Factions. You want to see people pitted against each other, internal factions, external factions, those sort of things. And then we want to see trading via aircraft. How do you interact with an aircraft carrier to faraway places? Well, maybe the aircraft take place. Things that we didn't want to see. Fantasy. No high, low fantasy elements here. No magic. No supernatural. Just down to earth, good natured reality, or at least as far as fantasy allows. Uh, we didn't want the advent of the world to be dependent on war. This isn't a nuclear apocalypse. This isn't a war apocalypse per se. It was started somehow, and we haven't come to the decision or the definition of that yet. But war did not start this apocalypse, but the apocalypse was nevertheless upon us. So moving over to our timeline. Um, Moving over to our timeline. So we started out, of course, there's the maiden voyage, the launching of this great ship, yet to be named ship, ending, of course, with the aircraft being rendered useless. So some point of time after the maiden voyage, we have the silence. Radio silence is occurring. There's no longer communication with the mainland. Maybe news reports aren't coming in. Maybe the mainland doesn't exist anymore. But the life on the ship is completely isolated. It's separated. There's no communication. But what do you do? Sometime after the silence, we have this period of time known as the horrors of the New World. What is out there? Is it something at sea? Is it something on land? What did we discover? The horrors of the New World, I believe, is a period of time when, after the silence, we've journeyed back onto land, or we're trying to find out what happened, what caused the apocalypse. And in trying to discover what caused the apocalypse, we have the horrors of the New World, stark realities that the crew and company need to face. And from the crew and company facing these horrors sometime later, we have the rise of the rule of the King of the Flight Deck. A leader rises up, Robert the Black, and he is crowned King of the Flight Deck. This great man. How did he become? Who became King of the Flight Deck? Leads into the scene. Factions in the lower floors. Maybe they battle it out to access the open sky. Robert the Black ends up leading on top, becoming the King of the Flight Deck. And so Robert does some interesting things. The laws of marriage aboard the ship are redefined. King Robert authorizes military strikes against bad faith trading partners. What does that mean? That's something maybe would be defined later in a Microscope game. Maybe it comes in when you translate this Microscope game into another role-playing format. Anyway, so from the result of the laws of marriage being redefined, we have the birth of Generation A, and Robert, King Robert, great King Robert of the Flight Deck, he passes on his title, recognizing maybe that to be king is to be wise. Maybe he's under pressures from other factions, who knows? But at some point here, King Robert passes on his title. It doesn't get taken from him. He passes it on. And this leads to the next period of time, a lighter period we call the Great Pirate Turkey Shoot. Um, I don't remember too much about this. This was an interesting section, and I don't remember. I believe this was a group of pirates. Pirates. Are we pirates? Anyway, the group, the people of the aircraft carrier, um, get into a conflict with what would be pirates. and they take them down. A great victory at the hands of the aircraft carrier under whoever is new king. And of course, if you destroy ships, the resources are scarce. You have the salvage of the Turkey pirates. Pirates of Turkey. We played around with that. Listen to the cast. We talk about the ideas and the potential in great more detail. But there's this idea of salvage of the Turkey pirates. We go down and we see that, and that leads to what is in the depths. A scene in which, using modifying the bomb casings, you create it into, say, a diving bell or some sort of submersible. And there's signs of life in a world where we're struggling to find resources, struggling to find life, struggling to find meaning. Down in the depths, down under the water, under the waves, the things that we float upon in this other world, there are signs of life. What does that mean to our characters? Who knows? Once again, to be defined as we continue the Microscope game, or when it gets translated over into something similar to Apocalypse World. After the great pirate turkey shoot, there is some period of time, and then we have a drift. Something goes wrong. Sabotage. Something goes wrong, wear and tear of the engine. Something goes wrong, a storm. Who knows? We don't know yet, but we have this section of a drift. And maybe it's at the beginning of a drift, maybe it's at the end, but we have this event. The radar signatures are captured. There's a cruiser-sized signal approaching. Something's coming up upon the aircraft carrier. We're already adrift, and we don't have the ability to move. Something's coming up. Something's approaching. After the event, the radar, the cruiser encounter, there's a light period of time. Paradise is found. What is this cruiser? Did it bring a message? Is it bring conflict? It's a dark event, something bad, something negative, but it leads to something, perhaps in a degree of time, such that paradise is found. What is paradise? An island? A flotilla of ships? A period of peace amongst the aircraft carrier? We don't know. But paradise can't last forever, folks. Paradise can't exist outside of reality, or inside of reality. It is temporary, it is fleeting. And therefore, sometime after paradise occurs the culling. Culling among factions. Factions, are they destroyed? Factions, are they whittled down? Do you decide to join hands with your enemy faction in order to survive, or in order to overpower the others? I don't know. Yet to be determined, yet to be defined. And then after a period of time, after the factions have been culled, or after there's been the culling, of course the aircraft carrier is rendered useless. So that's where we ended. It took it about an hour and a half, and we barely got through a cycle, everybody getting a chance to create the world. And it looks like up next we're going to be starting out with a lens created by Lodrig. His lens, as we ended, was locations, events, periods, scenes. Where do they occur? We want to know more about the world. It's kind of open right now. It's kind of something to be determined, to be defined. The location is the sea. The location is the land. What land? What sea? Is this the nation formerly known as Africa? Is this the culture formerly known as the Chinese? Are otakus sitting on the on the shore, staring longingly out? Who knows? But we're going to define that next, keeping to that theme, moving on, defining this world. So if you're interested, if you didn't remember, if you don't know, if you want to define, decide, create, I encourage you to listen in the next time we send out one of our mass pings saying, hey, Game of Microscope starting, guys. Come in, join us. Create, define, destroy, become something, create something, be a part of something. So next time you guys think, hey, I've got nothing to do on a Friday, it's 5 o'clock, grab a drink, sit down at your computer, log in, and if that ping comes out saying, hey, we're going to start a role-playing game, hey, I'm looking for more, I'm looking for help, I'm looking for people to participate, jump on, join in. Maybe it's not your first time, maybe it is. We're always looking for more people here. We're always looking for more engagement, more participation, enjoyment in these events. And I think, the people who participated last time, they enjoyed it. Off to a rocky start, you get into the rhythm, you get into the move, you get excited about the new world. So this has been Aspissus here giving you the TLDR on our last microscope game as far as we've gone. I'll add to it and do a final summary when we complete. But for now, this is Microscope and the aircraft carrier at the end of the world. Tune in next time, folks.